So it's no secret that Lucasfilm has an extremely toxic work environment that Kathleen Kennedy has created, and it seems like for every new project that Lucasfilm does, the employees that she hires get worse and worse. I mean, recently for the High Republic, she hired people like Justina Ireland and Christina Ariel, who straight up tweet and say racist things in interviews, and they have no repercussions for those actions. In fact, they even get praised by the Star Wars Twitter account. We have Gina Carano getting fired for having an opinion on Twitter, but when High Republic employees straight up tweet about how much they hate white people over and over again, they get praised by the Star Wars Twitter account. Makes sense, right? While that is a big sign and a symptom that there is a toxic work environment over at Lucasfilm, it's definitely not the only signs that we have that Kathleen Kennedy has created an extremely toxic environment. And I have a very interesting article to show you that talks about some of the repercussions that Lucasfilm and Star Wars are going to go through because of this toxic work environment. I kind of covered this a little bit. A couple weeks ago, Benedict Cumberbatch said that there was no way he was going to come play Thrawn, and he said because he had to put blue paint all over his body to play that part. But being who I am, I put my tinfoil hat on and I said it was something deeper than that. The fact that he dismissed the role so easily, he didn't even give it a chance. That's something that in the past would not happen with Star Wars. In the past, it didn't matter how tough the role was going to be or how small the role was going to be. If you were asked to be in Star Wars, no matter what you had to go through to be inside of Star Wars, you probably would have said yes, just because it's called Star Wars. It used to be a prestigious thing, and it still is. But I just think for a lot of actors, actresses, directors, writers, it's not worth the headache anymore. So the article says Lucasfilm in need of a cleanup crew once Kathleen Kennedy leaves. By the way, I love this article's optimism about Kathleen Kennedy leaving. Here we have Pablo Hidalgo looking extremely introspective. He's probably still trying to figure out why fans don't like the sequel trilogy. The article starts off by talking about how mainstream this Gina Carano situation is becoming and how well known it's becoming to the general public that Disney is a bad company run by bad people. But not only are they bad people, but their company is extremely mismanaged. But things are getting worse for the content creators of Star Wars, not better. The latest scuttlebutt is that Lucasfilm is having a very difficult time getting new directors to come on board with any project not linked to Jon Favreau. That's exactly what I was saying earlier. Apparently Zack Snyder is a director they'd like to have, but that doesn't seem to be a door open to them anytime soon. No matter how much money Lucasfilm can throw at professional filmmakers, they've already seen the poor treatment given to a slew of prior directors, and they're not eager to be invited into that same environment. I mean, we've seen over and over again how poorly Kathleen Kennedy and Lucasfilm treat their writers and directors. There's no way I can know this for sure, but from the outside looking in, it seems like if the writers or directors have any ideas that are different from Kathleen Kennedy's vision, that they depart the project for creative differences. Now, maybe Kathleen Kennedy has been extremely unlucky with the writers and directors that she's hired. Maybe all these people that are getting fired off of these projects are just extremely difficult to work with. There's no way I can know. But from the outside looking in, it seems like Kathleen Kennedy is doing a bad job at keeping these writers and directors on. And I had a conversation with Robert Meyer Burnett on this topic, and he told me that all these directors and writers getting fired off of these projects are due to the corporate overlords at Disney, and it's not so much to do with Kathleen Kennedy. But that really got me thinking, if that's the case, why doesn't this happen with Marvel? Because I think out of 24 or 25 Marvel projects, there has been 2 writers or directors fired off of those projects. There has been 3 times the writers and directors fired off of Star Wars projects, with less than half of the total Marvel project. Those numbers can't get much worse. If it is Kathleen Kennedy handling these fires and hires, then I don't understand how she still has her job. Because she's not a good storyteller, that's a given. She's not supposed to be, that's not why she's the president of Lucasfilm. But she is supposed to be a specialist at the business side of things. And if she can't even do that job right, why is she there? However, it goes farther with Lucasfilm. We've been watching as a number of Lucasfilm employees see it now prudent to mark their social media posts as their own opinions. That's smart because the social media posts they've been putting up are often borderline vile and more frequently abrasive in the extreme to large portions of potential customers. And this is another thing that's going to drive creatives, directors, writers, actors away from Lucasfilm is the fact that they're so biased and they're so quick to just cut people off, to just fire people for having a bad opinion. They're so obsessed with keeping up this woke facade. They're so obsessed with trying to make money off of that movement, which there's no money to be made in that movement. Those people don't consume Star Wars, so it doesn't make any sense. But they're so obsessed with making money off of that movement that they're willing to ruin entire Star Wars projects just to cut those people off. Just so that the stuff that Gina Carano tweets is no longer affiliated with Lucasfilm. Even though everything she tweets is totally logical and none of it is near as bad as what Pedro Pascal tweets, but it doesn't matter because Pedro is playing into the woke culture. They think that he's gonna make them profit off of the woke movement even more, when he's gonna cost them so much more money than Gina Carano ever could. When are they gonna wake up? Apparently Lucasfilm has become quite the ideological studio, with many employees there having become bitter and partisan. It's not the sort of place someone would want to take over, especially if their mandate is to moderate the studio. Someone walking into that scenario could easily see a potential future being the target of online vitriol and the victim of identity destruction. That's very true for Star Wars, for Lucasfilm, and not even just for the president of Lucasfilm, for any writers or directors that come on the Star Wars project. It could absolutely ruin your career. Imagine if Rian Johnson wasn't as established as he was already before The Last Jedi. His career would probably be over, and I'm sure there's a lot of writers and directors out there that are terrified of that. But this article makes a great point in that who would want to even take over Lucasfilm? Because even when Kathleen leaves, she's hired so many bad people that are just like her inside of Lucasfilm already that it's going to be like she's still there. You're actually going to have to fire everyone. You're going to have to clean house at Lucasfilm. You have to get rid of everyone involved in the High Republic, everyone involved in the Lucasfilm story group, because they're all just Kathleen Kennedy disciples, and they're all bad people. While we can't independently verify these claims in this article, film industry commentator Grace Randolph has previously said that Disney tried to get rid of Kathleen Kennedy in the past, but was unable to find someone suitable who was willing to take the job. Well, things are much worse there now. I don't know if I really believe that, because if they really wanted to get rid of Kathleen Kennedy and there was really no one to take that job, then why don't you just have no one president of Lucasfilm and just do a committee? I'm sure people will be willing to be a part of a committee. Then there's no one person to blame, and you don't have one person in power surrounded by a bunch of yes men. A committee is the way to go. When Kathleen Kennedy finally leaves, it's widely thought that whoever takes her place will need to bring in significant resources to manage potential fallout, as well as institute better social media regulations for employees. In essence, they're going to need a social media / workplace politics cleanup crew. Or you could just not care what your employees tweet, unless it's malicious like Pedro Pascal tweets, then maybe you take some action. But if someone is just questioning societal norms, there's nothing wrong with that. But I do agree they will have to clean house if they're going to fix this environment that's formed at Lucasfilm already. It's obvious that people don't want to go in, they don't want to work for Lucasfilm right now. And I'm not just talking about the president of Lucasfilm, I'm talking about actors, actresses, writers, directors. Why would any type of creative want to come work for this company when you have an evil overlord looking over you the whole time, trying to tell you how to tell your stories, trying to implement her politics into your stories? And not only that, but putting the politics, putting the agenda over the storytelling. It's just not an environment that a creative would want to be in. Let me know what you guys think of this whole situation about employees not wanting to come and work for Lucasfilm, about the rumors that certain directors and writers would never come work for Lucasfilm because of the environment that was formed by Kathleen Kennedy. I'm curious to see what you guys think. If you hate Kathleen Kennedy as much as I do, check out my Ruined by Kathleen Kennedy merch linked in the description. If you did enjoy this video, please leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. If you want to follow me on Twitter or join the Discord, both of those links will be in the description as well. But thank you for watching the video, and I'll just see you on the next one.